Good day, doodlers. Welcome to Draw Cartoons. It is December, which means it is a new month and it's time for a new Discord showcase. You guys are not making it easy to choose what art to put in these videos. You're really not making it easy. There is so much to look at, which is amazing. Trust me, it's a good problem to have. I love looking at all your art. But let me just say, I don't want people to think that these videos are some kind of art competition. It's not about that. I'm not always going to showcase the stuff that's absolutely, you know, the best. The stuff that appears in these videos is the stuff that I feel, to put it bluntly, I can make decent content out of it. There's something to talk about, there's something to analyze, and there's some growth to talk about with the art as well. So as more and more art pours into the Discord, unfortunately, it's just getting harder and harder to choose which ones to put in. So if you guys don't make it to the video, please don't be disheartened. It doesn't mean that I don't like it or anything like that. It's just these videos will soon end up being about an hour long if I'm not careful. So some things just have to not make it, I'm afraid. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's just cut to the chase. Let's just get into the showcase, guys. I hope you enjoy watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. So we're kicking things off with an axolotl drawing, very charming, done by Tiny Puro. I hope I said that right. So where to start with this one? I wanted to start with it because you've already got this kind of mastery of simplicity. The proportions are so fantastic in this cartoony sense. This enormous head which draws your eye. You don't really find yourself looking at the other parts of the character too much. You are drawn to the face, which is just a good thing to have. Not just in cartoons, but in art in general. I love the very little seasonal kind of winter hat going on. The color scheme is nice and simple and highly saturated. They almost look like a doll. And again, kind of with the face here, you've got the eyes, this brilliant kind of space apart, which they are anyway on an axolotl. But if this wasn't an axolotl, if this was actually just a person, if you just trim the pink sides off the head, you've got a really well stylized face there. Brilliant in its simplicity. So yeah, I just really wanted to talk about this one just because I haven't really got a lot of feedback for you other than the lines are a little bit kind of jagged here and there, but that's software for you. That can happen. So no, I think this is lovely. Now, Snow has made a number of contributions to the Discord. Of all of them, I think this one caught my eye the most. I love the muted color scheme on this, and the very kind of mysterious overall style and tone of the piece. It's just another example of, you know, cartoons don't always have to be bright and happy and colorful like Disney cartoons usually are. They can be creepy, they can be unsettling, they can be mysterious, and this is a really key example of that for me. This next one is by Vadercade, and very much matching the theme set by their name, you know, Vadercade. They've drawn Anakin from Clone Wars. Wait a minute, where was the spoiler alert? Just kidding, everyone has known that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker for literally decades. Anyway, this is really good. You've got that kind of big head style going on that I like to see in cartoons in general. It almost looks quite inspired by what is it, Disney Infinity? The Disney Infinity kind of Anakin figure, which maybe that's what you were going for, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. But what I am saying is that the stylization is excellent. You've done especially good work on the pose and the face, and I love the way the kind of cloak is billowing out over the leg. That is really hard to draw, so looking good. Here's something for you to try. Get a pen that you really trust and is a good black bold pen. Try going over any kind of pencil lines with that to finalize your drawing, and you'll notice that it really kind of pops out of the page if you do that. Obviously there's no going back if you make a mistake with the pen, but that is something that you get confidence with as you work more with them. Counteron, I can see that you've tried my better poses video, and I can immediately see this is a very interesting pose, so I'm glad that the tutorial really worked for you. I quite like the bold choice of colors, and oh, wait a minute, is that a grenade? Where are you gonna put that grenade, son? Okay, if I'm honest, I don't really know what's going on in this picture, but I do like the way it's drawn. It shows pretty measurable improvement and good attention to colors here. Something for you to work on in the future is to make sure that your legs are an even width, because one's a bit wider than the other. And why not squeeze a little neck in there? So Ziza whipped up this sketch of two guys brawling it out. By the looks of it, guy number 2 over here doesn't really like it too much. And I wanted to point this one out because it demonstrates two things that are very hard to draw and yet you decided to go for it, and that is awesome. So thing number one is action poses. Action poses are deceptively quite difficult. It's quite hard to get the right kind of referencing for a character when they're in some sort of motion, and even then you've got to think about the perspective, foreshortening on the arms, which isn't really something I've talked too much about on this channel, so it's really cool that you've just kind of taken the dive and gone for it. The other thing that's really cool about this is that it's two characters interacting in some way. It's hard enough drawing one character in an action pose. It is more than twice as hard to draw two characters interacting in an action-y way. Not only do you have to draw two characters moving, you have to draw two characters moving in a way that looks like they're in the same scene. That's really, really hard. I think in terms of feedback, just watch what you're doing with the feet and the legs. They look a little bit squiggly in places and the placement's a little bit off here and there, but overall, this is really good and I just had to show this one off. Now, I'm not all about cartoons, even though the channel's called Draw Cartoons, but it's not all about that. We talk about landscapes and we also talk about more realistic sort of sketches, just like these. Fred's done a rather luscious looking pair of lips on the right and a pretty tasty little muffin on the left, or a cupcake rather. Love the way you handled the sort of corrugated pattern of the packet around it. That's hard and really tedious, so hats off for actually doing that. You could have cheated and just drawn the bottom of the cake all flat and nice, but you didn't. And you don't get any better at art without challenging yourself. The attention to detail here is really good. They've gone for the philtrum over the lips here as well, and some kind of cracks and patterns on the lips. If you look really closely at your own lips in a mirror, you've probably noticed you've got these kind of lines going up and down from the lips. And yeah, they decided to throw that detail in as well, which looks great. So yeah, I wanted to show this one because it's not a cartoon, not in the stricter sense of things anyway, and it's good to have a bit of representation of not really life drawing, but you know, more kind of a realistic sense of art. Not only that, but looks pretty good too. Buttercookie, you know what, I just had to show this one off. So as you guys can see, they've put the Draw Cartoons logo kind of profile picture eyes on the torso of this character. Not a lot of people seem to know that's a pair of eyes. Some people think it's a pair of eggs, and I can't really say I blame them. I'll draw something new for that at some point. But anyway, they've also put their own pair of eyes up on the top that are very expressive. The character looks friendly, but also in a weird way kind of surprised to see something. They've also got that kind of Rayman style floating hand. Now something else for your cartoons, folks, that is the beauty of the flexibility of cartoons. You don't need limbs, you don't really need anything. It's a cartoon, and better than that, it's your cartoon, and you can draw it missing or with anything you like. And this character, I guess, is saying peace to people that also have floating hands. So nice work, Buttercookie, for using your imagination on this piece. Someone rather mysteriously only known as ... or period in the Discord channel drew this markedly less mysterious drawing of a kitten, and it's really cute. This is another art style that I really wanted to show off because it's a bit different from the others in that it's taking this almost kind of like a kawaii, you know, sort of like Japanese art style. You would definitely see art very much like this on, for example, sweets packaging in Japan. If you buy like a little bar of candy or something like that when you're in Japan, you would see this exact style of art appearing on it. So if that was your inspiration, if that's what you're going for, ... you are absolutely on the right track. Bonus points for making your background transparent as well. If you're going to do a cute little illustration like this, regardless of the purpose, having a transparent kind of PNG background is really nice. That's what all the kind of check mark in the background is. That is transparency, and I might make a tutorial specifically on that in the near future if you guys want. So I've actually got a couple here to show you from one artist called Doom. Doom is very active and posts quite a lot of art to the Discord, and all of it impresses, quite frankly. But I've selected these two specifically because they both show very different styles of art. First of all, on the left, you've got this guy. I think is their name Deku? I haven't really been watching it, so I don't really know. But with brown hair and in a uniform. This is obviously based on the Japanese kind of anime/manga style, which has a wide range of appeal, and I have to say, Doom, you've absolutely nailed this. The face is great, the proportions are excellent. Those shoes, oh my goodness, those shoes are incredible. And let's not forget the hair. Messy kind of hair like that is very, very hard to draw and shade, and you've got it right. All you need to do is refine your line work a bit. It doesn't have much kind of variation in weight, if you know what I mean, so it doesn't get thicker in places and thinner in other places, which is a quite advanced art technique, but I think you're ready for it. And on the right, you posted this picture picture of the Joker in that classic kind of Mark Hamill voiced style from the cartoons way back, and I had to point this one out because it's so different from the other one that you posted. But also, look at the way you've done the shine in the hair. That is absolutely fantastic. That is stylization to a T. Hair doesn't shine like that. Not in real life, it doesn't shine like that at all. But the extreme measure of taking white, which is, you know, just the neutral color of your page, and using it as a reflection of light in the art is quite critical to that original kind of Western style that this is from. And you've done a really good job with that. It's not that the hair is becoming white, it's just that the light is bouncing off the hair in such a glossy way that it appears that way. There's also a bit on the bottom lip there if you can see it, so yeah, good going. Now, I'm a Pokemon nerd, and I'm not going to apologize for that, and I know a good drawing of Necrozma when I see one. Darkness Forever, which is about the edgiest name you could possibly choose on Discord without being banned, did this highly angular and honestly really accurate rendition of Necrozma from the Pokemon games. And while Necrozma's not everyone's favorite, you can't really argue with how competitive this Pokemon is. Really good attention to detail here. I wanted to show this one off because it shows just how eye-catching a drawing can be, even when it doesn't have any color. Speaking of Pokemon, yes, we do have another Pokemon drawing, which honestly, it shouldn't surprise anyone because Pokemon are really good drawing exercises, with there being about 800 and something of them now, and even then there's variations, you know, mega evolutions and all that stuff. They are really fun to draw because you just get so much variation with them. Mega Sceptile, which is on this drawing right here by Flopper Boy, is honestly probably one of the more challenging Pokemon to draw, and you nailed it. Now, when it comes to drawing a character, it's quite hard to make them look interesting if they're facing away. Naturally, we are kind of drawn to characters, especially when they're facing directly towards us, because that catches our attention because it kind of gives our brain the idea that they want our attention. They're facing directly towards us. Mega Sceptile is facing directly away in this drawing, and yet it still draws your eye to the center of the image. I want to say you've done particularly good work on the face here, and hey, something else for you to finalize with a pen if you want to. Here's another one from AMACD who has featured before. This is an original character of theirs, and this picture has a mood that I absolutely had to show off. Clothing is really hard to get right, but you've done some great creases, especially on the elbows and the sleeves. Also, plaid kind of tartan patterns in general are just very tedious and very hard to get right. And the expression is menacing as hell, look at that. Yet definitely don't want to run into this guy in a dark alley. You also totally didn't have to include a backdrop with this one, but you did, and I appreciate the extra effort. Is that a fire? Did they set fire to something and just walk away? That's kind of mean. Anyway, AMACD, great job. A little bit of feedback for you. Try experimenting with different colors for your shadows. I can see that you've used black or very dark grays as your shadow. That isn't necessarily wrong, but your art deserves a little bit better. I did just make a tutorial, literally the video before this one is a tutorial on using multiply layers to shade with different colors. Try employing that technique in your art next time. Use reds, use blues, use purples, just find out what works for you. Right, I'm gonna move on before this guy challenges me to like a Yu-Gi-Oh duel or something. Back on the theme of changing art styles and moving things around a bit, here's a very classic looking, very old school sort of style drawing by Frisky the Fox. This character immediately makes me think of Felix the cat, in a good way. That pose is a lot harder than it looks, and the proportions are wonderfully cartoony on this. What I love is that you've planned out your drawing ahead of time. You've used the red pencil as guidelines to kind of, you know, that's something I do all the time in my tutorials when I say, hey, here's how to draw this character. I start things out with guidelines, and then I draw over the top of those guidelines to get a finalized image. It's really nice to see that you've clearly done that with this piece, and it's paid off. I think when it comes to drawing things, life is a lot harder if you just kind of go for it and just go ahead and draw, because planning is important with these kinds of things. You can wing it if it's a character that you're really confident with. You might have seen footage of the Simpsons animators. They just kind of sit there and they just immediately draw the Simpsons, right? Because they've drawn them like a million times over. But if you're trying something new, if you're trying to learn, if you're trying to build a scene, planning is important, and I can see that you've done a bit here, and it looks great. movesketch did a few of these drawings in that it's this same drawing but with a few minor alterations. However, this one really caught my eye the most, and I'll explain why in a minute. First of all, I like the composition. There's something contrastingly lonely about the character being sat there on their own. They've got a bit of a morose sort of expression on their face. They themselves have a very dull color palette where it's all kind of whites, grays, blacks. Very subtle but soft shading. And they're wearing a little party hat on top of that. They're on their own, but they're wearing what is clearly a party hat. And there's something very, I don't know, I'll let you come to your own conclusions about that one, but there's something melancholy about it. Makes me think of Jack Straub in a weird way. Anyway, the reason why this one in particular caught my eye, the only thing that's really different here is the face. And the face caught my eye because they did something quite bold with the facial expression. One of the eyes is super kind of low down and drooped on the face. The other eye is quite high up, and it creates this sort of sense of imbalance. You've also got the mouth with a very slight kind of curve on it, which looks unhappy. And honestly, the way they've drawn the face here is the cherry on top, stylistically speaking. So yeah, I just absolutely had to show you guys this one. Now, this one might be a little bit hard to see, but from what I can tell, they are just practice drawings. This is a series of 3 poses drawn by Obobanko. You've got 2 characters kind of sat down in a sort of pensive pose here, and 1 character at the back stretching, or maybe they're stressed out. Either way, what I love to see is the kind of rapid and loose sort of practice with posing and stylization. There's nothing here that's too refined or polished, but that's completely fine. That's not just the sort of stuff that I show on these videos. I love to see practice drawings just like this as well. Obobanko take these and try adapting them into something more finalized if you want to. They're all more than good enough for you to work with and create your own designs and just do whatever you want with them. These are a spectacular and very promising starting point. Anointed has been very active in their practice, and they've come a really long way in a very short amount of time. This is just one of the things that they uploaded to the Discord, and I had to show off this one in particular because again we have this amazing sort of sense of variation and experimentation. That is probably the single most important thing when it comes to learning cartoons, and really learning most things. Push the boundaries of what you can do, and just don't be afraid to get things wrong. There's a couple of skulls here that don't quite look as impressive as the others, but that's completely fine. I mean, having said that, they all look good. But my favorites in particular are the top one with the crack down it, the middle one looks very menacing, and I love the very angular jawbones. Makes me think of Yzma from Emperor's New Groove, which is an amazing film, by the way. If you've not seen it, you absolutely have to watch it. And also playing with different styles and perspectives as well. I just love seeing this exact kind of practice, very much like the one we just saw before this one. I love seeing this kind of thing. And finishing off with something very soft, very pleasing to the eyes by Saki. Saki, honestly, all I have to say is keep at it. I think you've got a really solid and recognizable art style already. It benefits a lot from its own simplicity. There's not a lot of variation in line weight here, but that's completely fine because it almost kind of benefits from that. You've used a really soft and unsaturated color palette. You can tell with like very pale pinks. Even the brown black for their hair is quite soft looking. And the eyes, they almost look misty. So just keep at it, keep experimenting. I think there's a lot of charm to your work already. And that's it. As always, you guys kicked a lot of butt this month. I am seeing very real improvements in people on the Discord, which is amazing. That's kind of why I do this. When I was younger, I didn't really have this kind of resource, you know, with YouTube and active how to draw channels and stuff like that. So the fact that I can visibly help you guys like this means a lot to me. That said, that is going to be it for this video today. If you did enjoy the video, guys, a like on the video helps massively with the YouTube algorithm, obviously. And if you didn't already, subscribing to the channel is even more helpful. And that way, you won't miss any future videos. Hit me with a comment on what you would like to see next below this video. But for now, guys, I will see you next time.